Hey friends! So I'm here today with a success chat topic that is one of my favorite quotes, actually. I remember hearing it for the very first time when I was about 17 in high school, and one of my friends' dads said it, and I was like, excuses are like armpits. What are you talking about? But it really struck me, and it's stuck with me ever since. So you guys ready to hear the full quote? Excuses are like armpits. Everybody has a couple, and most of them stink. So today I want to chat a little bit about excuses. Ladies, I have heard every excuse in the book for doing chores, for not starting a business, for not doing better in their business, for maybe even not taking better care of yourself. Like, let's be honest here. There are excuses for everything we want to do at all times, right? So today I just wanted to talk about that, make you a little bit maybe more aware of the excuses that you're using in your life to stop you from having the best life possible. Now, of course, because I have a business, I always relate these things to my business, just because, that's part of my life. But this is also something that I tell my kids all the time, because you can always come up with an excuse why not to, but why not come up with an excuse why to do something, right? So let's dive into some of these excuses. The top three that I always hear: I'm busy, I don't have any money, and I'm tired. So let's talk about these a little bit. Busy. Okay, ladies. How long did you spend scrolling through Facebook today? Just scrolling, not really on Facebook with a purpose. Right there, you probably have at least 10 minutes. If you're like me, sometimes it's even closer to an hour. Right there. So stop scrolling Facebook. Did you watch a TV show today or maybe last night? Maybe your favorite show was on, like Game of Thrones or whatever that one is. I'm not a big TV person. NCIS, maybe it is. What are some of the other ones? The Bachelor. If you are watching those shows, you have time. I have 7 kids. You guys know this? I have 7 kids. So when somebody says to me, I'm too busy to do that, I'm like, oh girl, let's compare schedules. Because I run a full-time business. I have 7 kids. Full-time mom, just to name a few things. We're very active in our church group. Our schedule most days is hopping. And yet every single day I have time to work my business. I have time to go grocery shopping. I have time for my kids. And usually I still have time to scroll Facebook and watch my favorite TV shows. So now I know some of you out there are super busy, but if it boiled down to a girlfriend calling you and saying, hey, look, I really need to go out to lunch with you. Could you spare an hour and a half? You'd make time. And that's, I think, the biggest thing is if something's important, you make the time. It's not just going to show up. You make time. You create time. You carve it out of your schedule for things that are important. So there we go. Excuse number 1, dissolved, right? Number 2, no money. So I'm going to say again, I know I've said this before, but if somebody called you, a lawyer, out of the blue and said, hey, guess what? There's this distant relative and they have left you $2 million. You're like, oh my gosh, heart attack, $2 million. And they said, the only thing is, you have to fly to Georgia, or if you live in Georgia, fly to Nevada to collect that. The plane ticket is $1,200. You have 24 hours. Do you think you'd be able to come up with that money? Let's be honest. You would take out a personal loan. You'd call everybody that you knew. You would, sell your plasma if you had to get that $1,200, right? So you could go collect your $2 million. Now, I'm not talking one of those scams where it's somebody from Africa. This is like a legit lawyer, right? You would figure it out. Now, I hear this a lot, especially with people trying to get their business started, or people who, maybe you've ordered a bunch of jewelry and you just want to order more, but you're like, well, I don't have money. Okay, number 1, if this is your jewelry business, sell your jewelry so that you're making money, which I realize is a lot easier said than done. But also, I know if something was super important to you, you'd come up with the money. If it was your kid's birthday, you'd do what you needed to do to come up with that money. If it was, your mom's, graduating from college or something like that, you'd figure out a way to get there. You'd get the money however you needed to, whether it's selling something in your garage, maybe you have 2 blenders. Who needs 2 blenders, ladies? So no money, boom, dissolved, right? Number 3, I'm tired. This one is when I get a lot from my kids. Hi. Because, you know, they have such a rough life. Thank you. They have such a rough life. Like hanging out here.
Tell a joke.
Not right now. Hanging out here with me all day, coloring pictures, playing Play-Doh. That is a rough life. Going to school, hanging out with your friends, eating snacks. Also rough life, right? They're like, I'm so tired. I'm like, honey, you just wait. You just wait till you have 7 kids. And yes, I do tell my kids that I expect 7 grandbabies from each of them. That's a lot of grandbabies, right? That's a long ways off. But point being, tired, it's a frame of mind. Again, if girlfriends called you and you haven't seen them for forever and they were like, hey, let's go to a movie tonight. Even if you've worked like a 12-hour day, you're going to be like, oh man, maybe this friend's only in town for like 6 hours and I haven't seen her for like 4 years. You're going to go. You're going to get a coffee. You're going to have a soda. You're going to figure it out, right? Because it's important. So I think that's what all of these things boil down to, is if something is important, you're going to find a way, right? You're not just going to let life happen. You're going to find a way. When it's important, you push those excuses aside and you find a way. So what is more important to you? Your dreams, your vision, the things that you want in your life, or your excuses? Something to think about, right? Okay, so I'm going to end the same way that I started, with the full version of that quote, because I know some of you guys have jumped on here at the last and you haven't heard the whole thing. So this is something a friend's dad said to me in high school, probably because I was making an excuse. He said, excuses are like armpits. Everybody has a couple, and most of them stink. Okay, ladies, so we talked about the 3 biggest excuses and talked about how to kind of dissolve your armpits stink. And how to kind of dissolve those. So jump back on and rewatch. It's only a couple minute video, but I think it's kind of something that is important, something to acknowledge, and hopefully it'll make you kind of reframe that a little bit differently. So, okay, we will catch you next time. Bye.